Here are the contents of our presentation. As you can see here, there is a piece of article entitled Sime Darby Plantation Man Accused of Sexual Harassment as Quit. Company says. Before we go further in detail about the issue, let's us look at the content. The presentation will start with executive summary, followed by case issue summary, discussion of the issue, effects of sexual harassment, relation to ethical theories of the issue, conclusion, and lastly, ethical lesson. Let's start with executive summary. Sime Darby Plantation is one of the major businesses of Sime Darby Group, and it engaged in several projects of the entire palm oil value chain, including upstream plantation, downstream businesses, renewables, agri-businesses, and research and development. So basically it is about the agri-businesses company. Sime Darby Plantation approximately has 85,000 employees who contribute to operational excellence, sustainability, research and innovation. Sime Darby Plantation has evolved and prospered for more than a decade, also prominent as the world's largest oil palm plantation company and the world's largest producer of certified sustainable palm oil. Sime Darby Plantation is listed on Bursa Malaysia. This is a little bit brief of the company. Our main aim of this presentation is discuss and elaborate on ethical issues faced by the Sime Darby Plantation. That is, an employer was accused of a sexual harassment towards a female oil palm plantation employee. At the end of the presentation, we will get to know how far the action taken by the company to overcome this issue. Next is case issue summary. In this part, we're going to see what is this case is actually about. First, where and when it happens. This sexual harassment happened somewhere in April 2019 at Sime Darby Plantation of Petaling Jaya in Malaysia. But as we searched, we could not find the actual date and place of this incident. Next is who were involved. The person who was involved are employer, who stated as boss in this article, and two female employees. What was exactly happened? First, the employer said a sexual statement to the female employee, that is, come sleep with me, I will give you a baby. And the female worker made a complaint against his boss. After 2 months, the female employees withdrawn the case. However, Sime Darby Plantation announced that it had been able to trace and inquire the two female employees. Upon revisiting this case, both of the employees denied their statement about the verbal abuse that made. The sexual statement by the two employees was not coerced and intimidated. Sadly, due to inadequate evidence, witness, and even the victim itself, the case has been closed again. Next, what was the action that taken by the company against the employee's misconduct? The company said that the employer has quit his position as boss voluntarily, and there is no any action taken by the company legally against the employer due to inadequate evidence. Next, what was happened to the employee? As the head of employee and industrial relation of Sime Darby Plantation, Adeline Amanda Jayasilan stated that if this case reopened, Sime Darby will prepare to give counseling and aid to alternative sources. Both employees continue their work in that same estate under the protection of the system in that place. Lastly, what happened after the incident? As a result of this case, several measures have been taken to overcome sexual harassment issues. For instance, reinforce the safeguards and procedure at the female workforce place, ensure that available channels and complaint measures are implemented. Therefore, people are aware of them and that they are not assisted to utilize them, said by the head of the company's group, Rashid Reza. Besides, the Associated Press found out that female employees work in difficult and dangerous industry jobs and must endure sexual harassment and abuse, including rape. Through inquiring of more than 3 dozen women and girls from at least 12 companies, the Sime Group find out about the sexual harassment issue.
Hi, I'm Jagnesh Sukumar with matrix number 273127. Without any delay, let's see the cause for this type of sexual harassment. It is undeniable that favorable situation for perpetrators is the chance to commit sexual harassment in workplace. Most commonly, the employers will take advantage on employees on their financial problems, family problems, desires, and etc. The proprietors as an employer will put their hands on the employees in order to provide job opportunities, increments, or promotion. In the Sam Darby's case, similar event happens when the proprietor verbally harass the victim or the female employee. From this, we can see that the person with authority is taking advantage on the situation with the thought that women are vulnerable to sexual harassment because they are in lack of power, lack of trust, standing in insecure positions, and unaware of methods for handling the situations. Next cause is hormonal imbalance. It is not proven in the case investigation that the perpetrator have these medical issues, but it is my own findings that there have high possibilities for hormonal imbalance also to occur in this type of sexual harassment. First, when it comes to hormonal imbalance, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are the main hormones that stimulates sexual desires for both male and female. It is natural and we can't control it. This is why some might harass or rape someone without their consciousness. Secondly, obsessive compulsive disorder is the obsession or the feel to do something in their mind repeatedly. Therefore, hormonal imbalance and OCD can be the factors for the sexual harassment to happen. But in the Sime Darby's case, there is no declaration from this medical viewpoint.
The third cause of sexual harassment is lack of company policy. This refers to a company that doesn't have clear policies, complaint, disciplinary procedure to deal with the harassment, or the company that have the policy but do not implement them. Women frequently resign rather than complain because they don't know where to go, and if they do complain, it is either dismissed as a joke or no action is done by management. According to the Sandabi case, many women are too afraid to speak out about sexual harassment and abuse, and the Associated Press discovered that even reported instances were frequently overlooked by employees or dismissed by authorities. The next cause of sexual harassment is socialization. The majority of women working at Samdabi plantation believe they have a little authority and unable to speak up about issues they face on a daily basis at work. Diverse in terms of gender, color, culture, religion, and lifestyle, working at Samtabi plantation follows a society in which it is acceptable to discriminate. The two female workers regard themselves as less valuable and dependent on males, making it harder for them to deal with harassment.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Shazwani binti Badaruddin. My metric number is 273156. Next, credibility and victim blaming. A person who is a victim of sexual harassment is often questioned about his or her integrity. This is because what the victim tells is often different from the story of the harasser. Among the things that make this problem worse is that as most men who look very good and always respect women do sexual harassment to their co-workers, they will find it hard to believe that the sexual harassment happened by their always respected co-workers doing the wrong thing by way of abusing the power that they have. Next, company management may also trust the statements of seniors more than subordinates because they have known seniors for longer than subordinates. In fact, managers often have more credibility in the event of any disagreement with subordinate employees. If male managers are committing sexual harassment, they may not view that as a serious problem because they are united because they are at the same gender. The problem of blaming the victim of sexual harassment can have a bad effect, which is the victim becomes the accused person. It's shown in cases of rape and sexual harassment, the victim's own dress is blamed for wearing sexy clothes. In Sime Darby sexual harassment case, victims of sexual harassment may feel very embarrassed by what has happened. They may be afraid of being teased, and it is likely that the harasser will take revenge on the victim, so the victim tends to remain silent and not complain to anyone. Furthermore, there are also victims who feel very guilty about themselves because they think that things that happen may be due to their behavior or speech that invites unwanted things. Lastly, moral values, divorce, and cultural differences. When men have low morals, they tend to have extramarital affairs and one-night stands. The act of flirting is easier to do equally biased or together at the workplace. If the victim refuses the invitation to be with the harasser, the victim is actually more likely to be targeted as a victim of sexual harassment. In addition, the stress resulting from divorce and marriage is usually brought to the workplace, thus causing them to be motivated to commit sexual harassment. This is because their emotions at the time were being disturbed and maybe they didn't think before doing something undesirable. In fact, there are also some of individuals who know little or no knowledge at all about other people's cultures. This led the harasser to claim that the harassment inflicted on the victims was a traditional culture and right for them to act in such a way. In the Sime Darby's case, a similar event happens. The harasser harassed the victim or the female employee by saying that, "Come, sleep with me. I will give you a baby." Through this statement, we clearly know that the harasser is low in morals, where he is not aware what to talk with other employee.
The victim of this case might face many consequences or negative changes in her career and within herself. For example, she might lose her job satisfaction due to of insecurity and fear. The passion on the job might reduce. If this situation extends, it might lead to unfavorable performance assessment result will form where it can bring to demotion or job loss. Besides that, the victim also might absent for several days due to the bitter moment of her. This absenteeism is also effect of sexual harassment.
Every victim of sexual harassment faces psychological effect. Non-physical sexual harassment is also a serious matter that people must act on the harassers. Non-physical sexual harassment will cause psychological effect to the victim. Sexual harassment can cause emotional, physical, and mental health effect. The Sime Darby worker who were sexually harassed were more likely to develop depressive symptoms. She may also have had crippling stress response, sleep, poor self-esteem, and sickness, which caused her to discontinue working with Sime Darby.
Next, effects of sexual harassment in terms of physiological effects. Sexual harassment in the workplace include emotional and physical issues. For the victim of Sime Darby's sexual harassment case, she might face negative impact on physical and emotional health. Victims of sexual harassment often suffer emotional and physiological harm, including stress, depression, and anxiety. They often experience decreased confidence and self-esteem. If this situation extends, physical health problems may arise such as loss of sleep and appetite, weight fluctuation, nausea, and headaches. Other than that, the victims of sexual harassment also experience problems such as phobias and panic reaction. They tend to avoid men who are known as harassers even though contact with them may be important for their work. The more severe the harassment, the more severe the reaction. Sexual harassment also affects on decreased company productivity. Sexual harassment is also damaging to an organization when a workplace is infected with discrimination and harassment. Everyone suffers. The hostility created by harassment causes absenteeism, low morale, gossip, animosity, stress, and anxiety among staff. Low productivity is more common in environments with high rate sexual harassment. For instance, in the case of Sime Darby's sexual harassment, the victims are more likely to quit, leading to high employee turnover and related hiring and training cost increases. A toxic environment will also make recruiting top talent more difficult.
Justice can be said as the righteousness of a moral application in a situations based on ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and fairness. In Sam Darby's sexual harassment case, the management implemented retributive justice. Retributive justice are defined as the theory of punishment given to any wrongdoings with same weightage of damage occurred. In simplest way, retributive justice is an eye for an eye concept. In the case, as the victim and Sam Darby gets their insults, they let the perpetrator to quit from his job to make him guilt for himself.
Value diverse workforce is one of the theory related to sexual harassment issue. In the context of workplace, respecting a diversity involves establishing a work environment that respects and incorporates difference, recognize the distinctive contribution that person with all sort of characteristics can maximize the potential of all employees. A diverse workforce can contribute to better retention and productivity, enhance ties with the surrounding community, strengthen the organization's ability to cope with changes as well. In the workplace, diversity and inclusion make all employees feel accepted and respected. Samdabi Plantation can have training on how to value other workforce from different races, gender, culture, and more. As a result, Samdabi Plantation with greater job satisfaction have lower employment rates. Employees have sense of belonging to the firm and are less inclined to quit because of the organization commitment to diversity.
Next, relation of rights theories to the issue of sexual harassment. Human rights are that each one of us, no matter who we are or where we are born, is entitled to the same basic rights and freedoms. Human rights are not privileged or revoked because they are universal. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. In Sime Darby's sexual harassment case, the victims have the right to preserve life, which means the people have the right to live in safety. Other than that, the victims also have the women's rights. Women workers have women's rights whereby they have the right to report to the authorities if they have been a victim of sexual harassment. However, in the case of Sime Darby, the victim did not report the matter or even remain silent. This is because the victim may be scared and distrusted. Therefore, all victims of sexual harassment should take this matter seriously and continue to act to report it because every woman has the right to protect herself. Supervisors also need to take sexual harassment seriously so that every woman enjoys the women's rights that have been given to all women.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nafada binti Fazli with number metric 273140. Today I will present about the conclusion and the article lesson. Everyone lives together in this country with their own gender, no matter a man or woman, in a long period, and have their own right to be success, do what they love, and be what they want to be. However, in this advanced era, there's still a small portion of people that look down to the other gender and start do harassment, especially to women, in a lot of ways. We can say that sexual harassment is a common issue that faced in Malaysia and even the whole world face it. It can happen anywhere, including in a public place such as public transportation, working place, and others. Sexual harassment can interfere on a person's dignity and rights. As a woman, it is a shameful deed that people do to them, and how those people treat women as they don't have feeling to be respected and protected. It shows that there is still a gender inequality that still faced by Malaysian women up until this day. Based on this report, where the boss voluntarily leave the job does not make any changes as he did not aware and realize that the harassment that he did might affect the employees. Being sexual assault, it can affect their health as it is a physically and mentally abuse to the woman, and their work performance can drop. These women also can be affected by society judgment as they might feel and see the victim as the bad person just because they involved in sexual harassment, even though that is not their fault. So we can conclude that action should be taken immediately, as if there is no action taken, it can lead to depression and death, which is really concerning. Next is ethical lesson. So the lesson that we can learn from this issue is that we should learn to respect each other gender, no matter a man or a woman. There should also be a gender equality in Malaysia, as a woman also have rights to be respected, have a good life, and treated as the same way as men. Besides, a person who gave birth to us is a woman too. So if this harassment happened to our mother or our sister, we will get mad and want to make a justice for them, as they should not be treated like that. This lesson should be taught by parents to their kids since they were young, so that in future when they grow up, they know how to treat women with respect and no discrimination towards women. In 2012, there is Employment Amendment Act 2012 that came into effect. This amendment explained how the company should handle the sexual harassment accusation at work. Due to this act, the company should take more seriously on this issue and be more concerned about the employees' working environment by pointing out this issue to every employee, as it is very important for them to have ethical behavior in the workplace and take action if there is sexual harassment happen in the workplace. That's all from me. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.